right, so we are live now.
Okay, welcome everyone. We're ready to begin our regular meeting of council, Tuesday, November the 17th. So welcome to our public who are with us and our staff and council. And before we begin our meeting, if we could please take a moment of silence. Thank you. I have an adoption of the agenda motion, and it was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll, that council agreed to move the following items. Now, council and everyone may just have 8A, but there are 5 others also, so I'll read them out. It is 8A, B, and C, G like George, H, and I. Again, I'll just read them again so everybody's clear and the public has that. It's 8A, B, and C, G like George, H like Harry, and I. Anything else? All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. I'll also remind all of council that if you have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. Moving on, I have a motion moved by Klaus Vandermeer, seconded by Ian Straight, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated November the 17th, 2020 be approved as amended. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Hi, Klaus.
Hi, sorry, I couldn't get on right away, but I'm here.
Yeah. Moving on, I have a motion that was moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings that the minutes of the regular meeting of November the 3rd, 2020 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Those minutes are carried. Thank you. Now, any business arising from those minutes? Okay. Seeing no business arising from the minutes, then we're moving on. We have no delegations tonight. And the first item on the reports is yours, Jasmine, and that's on the staff and the volunteer appreciation.
So at a meeting ago, staff or council provided direction to staff to look into options for gift cards for an alternative method of providing appreciation to staff and volunteers. So staff has provided some options for gift cards. So we did some research on the Visa gift cards. So there is a fee for each of those Visa gift cards. So I did not include it as a option because it would be approximately about $3 per card. So it seemed not the best use of taxpayer money. Overall, after discussion with staff, we're suggesting or recommending grocery store gift cards because they tend to be, regardless of whether or not you frequent a particular grocery store or not, food is always useful around the holiday season. So we can do approximately $60 gift cards for the 54 individuals who would be recognized as staff or volunteers. And they can be mailed out and meet the budget of $3,500 with a little bit left over. So there's no fees associated with the local grocery stores, and we can spread the funds across the 3 local stores. So staff is looking for council direction on that.
So I'll open it up to council. Yes, Karen, and then to Claus. Karen, please.
Just a question on whether we need to spend all the money. It is an appreciation and I understand that. I'm just wondering, questioning the $60 value versus and just an appreciation amount. That's all.
Yes. So if, sorry, my apologies.
I'll go to Claus and then back to you, Jasmine.
Thank you, Reed. No, I think the idea is very good, and I thank you, Jasmine, for doing this work. I don't have no problem with the $60 voucher or gift card whatsoever. We spend that on their meal and the volunteer appreciation night anyway per staff member. I do have a question on the stationery. Is it a letter that's going to go with each one of the cards, Jasmine, or a gift or a Christmas card?
Yeah, it's just a letter. So the stationery is for like a nice Christmas style stationery versus a card.
Okay, much like the one that's sent out when we invite them to the appreciation night.
Yes.
Okay. Would it be possible, it's just a thought, I mean, it doesn't matter, that each one of us have an opportunity to sign that letter? And the reason I say that, each one of us have an opportunity at the staff appreciation night to wish everyone a happy holiday, happy whatever, Merry Christmas, however we want to say it. I just thought it'd be a nice gesture if we could have an opportunity. I mean, I realize we're in a pandemic and we got to be careful what we pass around. If it's possible, we could sign that letter and just basically sign that letter that's being sent out. It's just a thought. If you think it's too risky, then that's fine.
We would, Claus, I guess I was just wondering, like, would it be okay? Because obviously our each of our names could be put on there, but it could all be pre-printed with everything else.
It can be, yeah.
Anyways, we'll go around. I'll go back to you for a minute. Jasmine, you were going to respond to what Karen said.
So I just wanted to note, like, the $60 was the suggestion just to kind of maximize the budget, but it could be lower if council wanted to go in under budget, like more under budget.
Okay, Jeff?
I guess the 2 things for me is I think this is great. I think we're on the right line. But if anything, I would like to almost stick with just independent and Garden Market, just because those are 2 that are actually locally owned. Nothing against Food Basics. Obviously, you know, gives employment to the area and everything else, but just to focus on maybe the ones that are actually owned in the area. And the other one is like on Claus's point, I wouldn't mind bringing up the sort of that idea that we had a couple weeks ago, but even doing a little video where like we could all once again take 10 people each or 5 people each, depending on how many, I guess we're saying 50. So like 5 or 10 people each, and just individually thank them, and we could put that video together. I mean, it'd be something quick and easy, but then we could at least recognize each individual, which would be kind of nice too as well. Just an idea that, you know, it wouldn't take too long for us to do and submit a video to you know, I can put it together, or Christy can probably put it together too as well if we all submit her a video just of us, you know, choosing those 10 people.
So kind of, I was going to throw something out myself, but I was kind of going in the opposite direction of you, Jeff. I was actually going to add one store because I was wondering why we didn't add the one on Chamber Street. Dear, now I forgot it.
Giant Tiger?
The store. Yeah, Giant Tiger. I realized, like, I mean, Giant Tiger sells everything, but so do a couple of the other stores. They sell more than just groceries. So my suggestion would have been, I'm happy with it the way it is, except that I would have been adding Giant Tiger. So we're going to have to get some consensus here. So Jeff, you're suggesting we delete one, and I'm suggesting we add one. And we have two differences, two different amounts already. Well, Claus, you're fine with the 60, so we'll have to get staff direction here. So maybe what I'll try to do here is to get some kind of direction. I'll ask for consensus, first of all, on the amount. And I'll go around, well, I'll start with you, Claus, because you've already suggested the same amount. And I'll just simply go around and try to get consensus. And you're in line, Jeff, so I'll ask you. The first one is for the suggested amount of $60. Jeff?
Oh, okay, with 60. I mean, a rounder number is always 50, but I mean, and then we could be a little bit under budget too as well in that sense. So, hopefully we could have maybe
You can put another figure out. You don't have to put it, you can put any figure out you want, but I'm just asking for the 60 for now.
I'm gonna say 50, just more but just to explain that, because I don't want to see like being cheap, but in the sense of like, hopefully we can have a bigger party next year.
Yeah, okay, so we got a 60, a 50, and next you or Karen, do you want to throw out a figure you had in mind, Karen?
Well, my thought had been that if we saved any of the money this year, like give recognition for the appreciation, but whatever we save to have a better party next year, as Jeff has just brought up. I didn't have a figure in my head. I was just thinking that, I mean, I do want to appreciate everybody because it's been a bad year. It's been a tough year, but I was just thinking that if we could save some of it so that hopefully by next year, we could actually have a good part, like a party, and just have a little bit of extra money in it. That was all. Because I think we'll be tight on our budgets for next year. So.
Okay. Ian?
I'm okay with I agree with Councillor Carroll on the $50.
Okay, and well, let's see now. I would have been okay with the 60, so I would be agreeing with Claus there, but so that means that it's usually me that has to break this tie, but I'm afraid, Karen, I'm going to have to put you on the spot. You were already suggesting less than the 60, so I suspect that you would go along with the 50.
Correct.
And so
it's around the map. So
I do feel that we have consensus from council, Jasmine, for the $50. Okay, and just remember that, everybody, including the public, that or the staff and the volunteers, that extra $10 is going to go a long way for next year. So we definitely will have a better time. So, anyways, back to the stores, okay,
right,
that we have here. I don't think there's any problem with obviously with the garden market and the independent, but we have two other suggestions here, one to delete and one to add. So I'll go to you, Jasmine, and then to Karen.
I just wanted to note, I think we tried to go for more dedicated grocery stores, given that I think if you expand it to the more full service stores, you would include, like Walmart and stuff like that, which also has a pretty expansive grocery section, similar to Giant Tiger.
I understand.
Yeah.
Karen?
I was just going to say, if you added Giant Tiger, then because it was noted that there were 56, that it would be 14 cards from each one of the stores. Because by doing 17, you've only got the 51 versus 56. So that was all.
Oh, yeah. Needs to be updated.
Okay, so again, we'll go, if there's no other questions and comments, then we'll try to get consensus here. Does someone want to put out a suggestion then, and we'll vote on that one first? Jeff?
I mean, I'll just throw it once again, the two again, and nothing against Food Basics or any other retail shop in the area, but independent and garden market, if we're going to stick with food, at least they're independently owned. So I want, stick with the two.
Okay, so Karen, you're next.
The only
Did
comment I
you
have
have a
back
question?
is, no, I was going to give a comment back to Jeff.
Sure,
I know
yeah.
that it's independently owned, but when you buy the card is still corporate. So,
It
I
is.
mean, that's
It
the
is.
thing. So, I mean, I have no problem in having the 4 of them that were suggested or the 3 that are listed.
Okay, so Jeff, you're saying 2 of them. And Karen, you're saying either 3 or the 4. So
Correct.
next I have Ian
I have no problem with the 4.
and Claus.
I'm suggesting that you remove Food Basics and replace it with Giant Tiger and leave it at the 3. Leave it,
So-
that way, leaving it at the 3, you're gonna cut the cost of this down by $500 and some. If you add the 4, then you're back to using up all your total budget, you know.
No,
No.
it's still the same amount of gift
No.
cards, just less per store.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
it will not cost us more by adding a 4th store.
I'm just
So-
concerned to go back to what everybody else was saying, that we want to save money.
There's still,
Anyway,
Well,
Based on people.
yeah, we're still
we-
giving
we-
out 56 cards.
we
Sorry.
are going to save on money now because our consensus is for 50 instead of 60. Overall, we're still going to save on money, and it's not going to cost us more to have 4 than 3.
That's right.
Okay, anyway, I'm suggesting that we remove Food Basics and add Giant Tiger.
So I think that I will break this tie then, and I would be happy with all 4. So I believe that at least 2 of others of us said it would be fine with 4. So I'll break the tie, and we'll go with the 4 stores that sell the food there. And if that's okay. Now, Jasmine, do you need anything else from us?
No, I just want to confirm that overall the gift cards will cost $2,800. And so with it'll be so $2,880 approximately in cost. So you'll have some extra money there.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for this. And I think the really important thing is that I'm speaking on behalf of council, that all 5 of us equally appreciate our volunteers and our staff. That's been known all along. And I just want to make sure that that's reiterated, and by us wanting to do this, and we would anyways, because I know that that's something that we have in Monica Township, and that's a real great appreciation for our volunteers and our staff. So thanks to council, and I'll go to you, Jasmine.
So just a couple questions. We had a couple suggestions from council. So there was 2 suggestions. There was one related to having council everyone sign the card, not card, but the document. Letter is the word that I'm looking for. And then the other suggestion was for council to do a video. So does council want to provide consensus on those items? If that's something you want to pursue?
Okay, I'll start off with you, Ian, please.
I'm assuming the video will go on the website, would be
Yeah.
the intent of it.
I think it's for YouTube.
Yeah, website, YouTube. So I think that we should do both. We sign the piece of paper and it goes out with their gift card, and we put the video on YouTube. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so I'll go around and ask consensus then for us doing both of those. So Ian, you've commented. Claus?
I would agree doing both.
Okay, Jeff
Sounds good to me.
and Karen?
Sure.
Okay, that's it. Jasmine, you got consensus?
Great.
I agree too, so. Okay,
Excellent.
Jasmine?
Yep, we're all good. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, then thank you. And I have a motion moved by Ian Straight and second by Claus Vandermeer that the council receive the following report. That's the staff and volunteer appreciation report. And that the following be approved, that council provide direction on the staff volunteer appreciation night. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And moving on, we have a motion by Karen Jennings and second by Claude Vandermeer. The council approved the minutes of the meeting of Committee of the Whole meeting of November the 3rd, 2020, and approve the recommendations contained within. Karen,
I'd like
did you
to-
have your hand up?
I'd like a recorded vote.
Grant?
Yeah, on the
We're-
approval of the minutes. I want to record it.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay, Karen. or,
Give me one moment.
Jasmine? Is there, like, we're approving the minutes yet? We're approving the minutes. Was there something that you see that should be changed in the minutes before?
No, I just want it documented that I'm not approving the establishing bylaw and the truck use policy, because that's what I voted against at the committee. So that's why I wanted it.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Carroll,
Yay.
Reeve Dobson,
Yay.
Councillor Jennings,
Nay.
Councillor Straight,
Yeah,
Deputy Reeve Vandermeer.
Yay.
The motion is carried.
Thank you. Moving on, we have no petitions and the bylaws. We have two. I'll read them. The first one was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Jeff Carroll, that bylaw 3795, 2020 being a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 17th day of November 2020. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. The next motion was moved by Claude Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight, that bylaw 3798, 2020 being a bylaw to adopt a truck use policy be read for second and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 17th day of November 2020. All in favor?
And,
Yeah,
Um,
sorry, before we vote, Jasmine, you had your hand up.
sorry, so I just wanted to note that I have uploaded the attachment to that bylaw. I do apologize for that. It is noted, it's the same version as was provided in the committee, except to amend to 30 kilometers an hour as directed.
Okay. So all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Sorry, I didn't see you, Ian. I guess, I'm not sure if, I'm having a little trouble seeing your hand on the right side. It's just, yeah, okay, perfect. I just didn't see it. Thanks. Okay, that's bylaw is carried. Thank you. And moving on, we have no motions or notices of motions. And the correspondence, we had two move forward. The first one, 8A, and that's on the COVID-19 Resilience Fund. And that's yours, Jasmine, I think.
Yes, so contrary to what I said at our last meeting, the COVID-19 Resilience Fund is actually a allocated fund. So we have money to spend, and it appears that we can spend it on retrofits, repairs, and upgrades for our municipal infrastructure. So as of today, the application form has been released. The projects it's a very short timeline for the projects. So the construction must be complete before December 31st, 2022. Or sorry, 2021, sorry. So it's a very short timeline to getting the work done. I think that our roof would be an excellent project. Thank you. I'm sorry for this fund, and certainly we'll have a further discussion about this item at our meeting on December 1st.
So will we still have the right timeline and we have enough time to discuss it at that meeting and then still get everything in on time?
Yeah, so the application will be due on December 21st. So it gives us about 20 days to get that complete. Which is a reasonable amount of time.
So you're suggesting the roof. Just as a question, Jasmine, what dollar figure are we working on right now for the roof? Because this fund is 100,000, right?
Yeah, so we put a very rough estimate of the roof work in at 100,000, although we don't really know how much it's going to cost.
So we don't, is it 100% that we get this?
It's 100%, yes.
Yeah.
And the funding
Okay.
percentage is 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So Karen?
I'm just wondering, Jasmine, because of the fact that it's 100,000 and we're not sure of the roof, if the roof were to come in less, I don't know whether it would or not, but if it were, I was wondering, could we also allocate the funding or the information for like to be able to do the live streaming at the council chamber as well as that sort of stuff? Like, can we put them all in together as part of the retrofits, repairs, upgrades, so that even if we are more, we'll at least get that much? Like,
if council wants to direct staff to look into that, I can certainly do that. And in fact, if you have any other suggestions you'd like us to look into as far as whether or not they'd be eligible, now's the time. We can get more information into it.
That's a good question, Karen, but I'm hoping that council would do that and give you between now and our budget meeting to maybe look into other areas. I have at least two, but I'll go to I think Jeff first and then to Claus.
20 days I thought seemed kind of short to me, but you're making me feel better saying that we have more time. Because do we not need to have like pricing and what it's going to cost to have that part of the submission, or is that not something needed? To Jasmine, I guess.
I haven't looked at the application form yet. Typically, you have to have an idea of the costs of it, but we can usually get that information fairly quickly.
We can get that fairly quickly. Because the other one, like I'm wondering, I mean, I like Councillor Jennings' ideas. I'm just wondering, like, I'd like to think our roof was going to be substantially less than $100,000. But maybe my estimates of thinking of what it might cost is way off too as well. And I'm just kind of curious if even the septic too as well, because that's part of a recreational building or part of a building that when I read through the thing, it shows you can do it. And they do say that municipalities can bundle various assets within one of the 4 categories under one project submission. So I mean, like there is other options. I'm just, I'm wondering if that could be an option, because I mean, I would think that the roof and the septic might be in that close to that sort of dollar value, but maybe I'm wrong. I just think I can't believe the roof is going to be that much, but there's another suggestion for another place to spend the money.
Okay, so we've got 2 suggestions now. Claus and then back to Karen.
Thank you. Just a question, Jasmine, the engineering cost, would that be part of the roof repair? Can that be bundled in there too?
No, I don't believe they'll pay for studies.
No.
They won't pay for that, eh? Okay.
No.
I would agree with Councillor Carroll. If we can bundle something else in there, especially the septic system, then let's do it. I don't see that this roof repair is going to go over $100,000, to be honest with you.
Okay, back to Karen.
I guess my question would be to Jasmine to inquire, because we've already started the septic work, would they consider it? Or whether it's just something that hasn't been started for moving forward? I guess that's a question.
I can look into that, yeah.
Okay, now having read through it myself also, I had 2 other suggestions. Certainly the septic was one of them. The only thing about the septic system is that we have, it'll be coming up tonight in one of our meetings anyways, but a fairly substantial in reserve, on recreational reserve for that septic system. But two other bullet points that I looked at was under the bullet that says active transportation infrastructure. I just wondered if there's anything, because we've spent a lot of time talking about it already, but just if there was anything that we could do at the 22 acres. We've talked about having a trail. So I wondered about doing any work on a trail. And also, along with that, say having a little change hut or a little building just to get out of on the 22 acres. So that was one idea. And the other was under the, I was reading under the bullet about the disaster mitigation. This is kind of a way out. So the other first two suggestions are much more simple, I think. But under the disaster mitigation, one thing that I'm thinking about, and we haven't discussed it in too much detail, but I look at this problem of the emerald ash borer as a disaster happening because we've got so many ash trees in Montague, and we've got a lot of ash trees along the roadways. So obviously it's a public works project, but I just didn't know whether any extra money could be spent on removing some of the trees along the roadways in Montague. So those were my suggestions. So Jasmine, do you just wish us to give you staff direction to look into all of these ideas between now and the next meeting?
We can give staff direction to bring back information related to the ideas.
Yes, that's what I mean. But does any other comments, Jeff? Yeah, we got Jeff and Karen and Ian. So Jeff,
I was just gonna say, like, it'd be nice to get back if we can get an estimate on what it would cost to do the roof. So then we can sort of start that process. I mean, if there's a substantial amount of money left over, that'd be nice to see if we can start to loop in something like the septic. If it's not really a substantial amount of money left over, then maybe like seeing how we can kind of, you know, fix a few other small jobs, I guess you could say, on the side. But I mean, we need to know what the roof costs. I mean, we you know, it's one of those things we should have that information already. It's too bad we don't, but I mean, we should be going forward this stuff to get it, so we'd have that ready to go.
Yeah. Okay, Karen, and then to Ian.
So in reference to the 22 acres and that, I think we should wait to what the recreational feasibility study brings back before we invest money into that. I mean, the roof and definitely the septic, if the septic's eligible, I'm just got a concern because I know in some grants you can't do, or you can't have already started anything in the project in order to be able to receive it. So I don't know what all these guidelines are. So that I'll wait for Jasmine to come back. But I do think on the other that we should be waiting on the recreation feasibility study.
Yeah, I was only trying to add those little things in case we still had money after the roof and the septic system, but that's possibly highly unlikely. But I was trying to think on the positive side there. But I agree with you, Karen. Ian?
I think the biggest thing is making sure that we're creative enough to make sure or ensure that we use the total 100% of the funding that's available. So that's where I think he caps on and make sure that we utilize the full $100,000.
Yeah, Karen.
So just on that line of retrofits, repairs, and upgrades, I think there's quite a bit on our buildings study that surely we can come up with the $100,000 somehow to get some of that done.
Well, I think if we have consensus then for staff direction to come back with another report for our next meeting, hopefully, then I guess we can make a final decision. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so is that okay then, Jasmine, you've got staff direction?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for this work on that one, Jasmine. That's It's very, very good. And I guess we're lucky that we've got another 100,000 coming in from the province. So then we're going to move on to the next action or correspondent item that was moved forward to action, that being the rural FASD support letter. You can speak to that, Jasmine, please.
So we received this communication from the rural FASD organization in the township of Montague, and they're just looking for letters of support from the townships for their Building Resilience Community Trillium Fund grant application. So I was just asking if council would be willing to direct staff to fill out, and they've offered a template that the REIT could sign on our letterhead to provide that letter of support for their grant application.
Okay, I'll open it up to council.
I think
Karen?
I think it's a good idea. I think to support them. So.
And I agree with you, Karen. I know this group, and having been my first professional teacher of special needs, I can very, very much appreciate what this group is doing. And it is, I believe it is, it is a Montague-based group, I think, that started out. And there's so many good things in that letter that they wrote to us that we should be looking at. So I just think it's a wonderful initiative, and what we're doing is supporting them for their grant.
Yes.
Do you need a motion for this, Jasmine?
No, a consensus would be fine if unless council, like, if you're okay with the letter as attached, consensus to provide direction is fine.
Okay,
Provide the
so
letter of support.
I have it from Karen. I'll go to you, Jeff, please.
Hey, I'm good.
And Claus
Yes.
and Ian.
Yep.
So you've got consensus there, Jasmine. So I'm willing to do that.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Now, moving on to the other items that were moved forward. The first one is 8A. Claus, did you move that forward?
Yeah, I will. That's
No,
the,
I think you already have.
yes, I did. Yes, I did. And yes, I will. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's the letter from Tay Valley to support the Lanark Archives closure, local registry office. I think most people know already that the land registry office in Elmont, the government, after spending $1 million building it, has decided now to close it. There are a lot of records there, wills, documents that pertain very much to Lanark County. They're going to move those to, I don't know, somewhere, maybe Sudbury, whatever, and put
Thunder Bay.
Pardon?
Thunder Bay, I think.
Thunder Bay? Okay, sorry. I knew it was up north somewhere. And then put them on microfiche, and you'll be able to only look at them via computer. Lanark Archives has been pushing pretty hard, and I represent Lanark Archives on the county council to try and get these moved. We have a location to put them, and most townships, town of Perthman, have been supporting Lanark Archives to keep these here. The last email I got was that some of the land registry offices have been closed, and a lot of files are starting to move out already. There's about 12 filing cabinets, and I do have a secure place to store these cabinets. So I'd like to see our township support this letter from Tay Valley to the land registry offices of Ontario to say, let us store these and keep these here in Lanark County.
Do we need to make a motion for this one, Jasmine?
If council would like to support the motion, then yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then I believe it's been moved by yourself, Claus,
Yes, sir.
and we need a seconder for this. Karen, anything else on this? So I'll ask for the vote. All in favor, please. Okay, that's carried. Thank you,
Can we
Claus.
clarify who we wanted to be sent to?
Well, my thought
Ministry-
would be, yeah, sorry, Claus, you go ahead.
Sorry, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Honorable Steve Clark. He's already received several of these, including one from the county. and hasn't responded yet.
I don't have that letter from Tay Valley in front of me, but did they not send it out to all municipalities? So I believe that we
Yes,
should
they did.
send it to all municipalities in.
County.
They send it to Lanark County municipalities, yes.
Yes, that's what all municipalities in Lanark County, because we really want all of us. We need all of us to support this. Is that okay,
Yes.
Claus?
Yes, it is. And I believe that is what's happening. I think most townships have supported it.
Yep. And the county has also.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Claus. Then moving on to 8, the next one was 8B. And I moved these forward, so I'm going to try to go through these as quickly as possible. The 8B, I'm just asking if we can support this also. 8B was the idea of enhancing the food security by the new food hub that was talked about in this. And this new food hub is huge, or will be huge, and will be hugely supportive of the local producers. And we've got lots of them in Lanark County. So I'm just asking council if we could support this, which was already supported by someone else, but I'm just, I can't remember, I don't have it on my phone here, but I can't remember who sent this in, but I'm asking if we can just support that. And to do that, we need just somebody to move it and second it. Jeff?
I'll
Moved.
move. Yeah.
And Claus seconded. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And next is 8C. And it came in, this is regarding support for community groups and service clubs. I believe, I read through it, I believe it's a very good initiative. I'm thinking about our seniors club in the Montague and District Seniors Forget-Me-Not Club and the Civitan Club. So we've got two very active clubs. Well, not so much now, but that's part of the problem. So this is to support these community groups and service clubs because of COVID-19. I'm asking again, council, to support that because we've got two in our community, in our own community. If there's any questions or comments, please jump in. Otherwise, we need a motion, a mover and seconder for this one. Karen?
I'll move it.
Okay, and seconded by Ian. Okay, all in favor? Okay, that one is carried. Thank you. Now, the next one was,
Can we clarify in that case who we want to send this motion to?
oh yes, okay. Both of these, I think both of these should be sent to everyone. I mean, meaning the same ones that the two who had passed the original motion, the same ones.
Is that consensus from everybody?
Makes sense.
Anybody opposed to that? Anybody opposed to that? Okay, so that's what that was for, Jasmine. I apologize, council, for putting all these on, but I was a little, I didn't get reading a lot till Monday and Tuesday, so I wasn't able to look at the all of this over the weekend. The next one is G, and that is regarding this Bill 108, which seems to become, there's more and more and more in 108 that we don't really know about. But what I'm concerned about is the one that was sent in, but the motion that was sent in by the municipality of Grimsby, and their issue, and I support what Grimsby wants, And that is when there's going to be a review under the Conservation Act, the Heritage Act, I should say, when there's going to be a review, they want it to be reviewed, continued to be reviewed by the Heritage, under the Ontario Heritage Act. But the government, under Bill 108, wants LPAT to review any appeals under the Ontario Heritage Act. Grimsby is, we don't have a big issue so much in Montague, but my interest is in heritage is right across Ontario. And so Grimsby's issue is, why should LPAT be reviewing or looking at appeals under the Ontario Heritage Act? Grimsby, the municipality of Grimsby, who passed this motion, they are asking for it to be continued by the Heritage
Acting council.
Yeah. So that's why I was bringing this up. I realize that it hasn't got a lot to do with Montague, but we've got many heritage groups all across Ontario, and I just felt that I wanted to put this on the table to see if council wanted to support the town of Grimsby, and if we did, it would be exactly the same as the motion that they passed. So I'll throw that out to council if we have a mover and seconder to talk about it or vote on it. Okay, so no movers and second on this?
Well, move it, yeah.
Okay, moved by Karen and seconded by Claus. All in favor? Okay, that is carried then. So Jasmine, I think if it's okay with council, if there's nobody opposed, then if we could just send it to the same people.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the next one was the changes, was number H. And that was, they were talking about changes to the Conservation Authority. So I wasn't sure if we shouldn't possibly have our representative, Vince Carroll, to possibly report to us, or if we could even give staff direction maybe to look into these changes and see how they're going to affect us. So I just put this on the table to see if there's any discussion here, because I'm afraid of what might be happening, and they might be moving this fairly quickly, because I saw that, I think I remember reading that they're not giving us any time to respond. So Jasmine?
I believe that there is a report coming from the executive director of the RVCA.
Yes. There is a report coming, yes. I just wanted to make sure that that we were all aware of this, and again, so do you suggest that we just hold off and just wait till we get that come from the Conservation Authority?
What we could do is get some information from Summer Casgrain Robertson, and I could potentially get her summary and comments at the next meeting of council.
Do we have consensus for that? So yes, Ian?
Well, I think we have to, because today was the last day for the webinar. So if you really want to participate in the webinar, it was Tuesday, November 17th, from 2 to 3.
Exactly, and I believe that they sent it to us on the 11th, and to tell us that there was going to be a webinar 2 days later. So we're looking at this now, and they're all, and the three options we had are all over. We had no choice. We did not have a chance to go on these webinars.
So if we're getting a report from RVCA, then that's what we're getting.
Okay, so, but we have consensus then for staff to come back to give us a report after they hear from the Conservation Authority. No opposed to that? Nobody opposed to that then?
No.
Okay, yeah, Karen?
So on the Conservation Authority though, is it dealing with them where we were where the proposal was removing some of their authority? Is that what you're referring to when they're going to come and talk to us?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm afraid of, but because we don't have the details and we haven't discussed it, and I just feel that it's moving too quickly and we haven't been consulted enough. So I don't have the answer to that, Karen. Okay, so that's fine, Jasmine?
Yeah, if council's okay with that.
Okay, thank you, council. And the very last one that I have, I'm sorry about this. This was to ask for staff direction to explore possibilities for our seniors. And I don't have it on my phone. I can't bring it up right now. So that's what this one was on, and it was Jasmine, can you tell me who sent the in?
That was you.
I know, but it came from who was that it came from again?
Oh, the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism and Culture.
And Tourism, yes.
Yeah.
So if you read that, council, there is funding through this ministry, and I'm only asking now if council would give staff direction, if we have consensus to give staff direction to explore any possibilities for our Montague District or our Montague District Forget-Me-Not Club seniors. And I guess when I read that, it doesn't necessarily have to be connected to our seniors club. It could be for seniors in Montague.
Yep.
So there definitely could be something there for funding, but we need to give staff direction. So Jeff?
I was just gonna say, like, we should make sure that the senior group are aware of this grant. So if they have any sort of projects they're thinking they may have, they're the ones that know. I mean, I obviously want to give them the support if they needed it, but like, let's just make sure they're aware of it. I'm assuming that they probably don't know about it. So they just kind of maybe forward it to the senior group so they can have that. So they have, I don't know.
I appreciate what you're saying. And when I read things like this, generally that's what I've tried to do, is to make sure that they are aware, or that our staff makes sure that they are aware. But as I said, this doesn't necessarily have to be specifically for that club. It could be for the club plus just outside activities for seniors. So I guess all I'm asking for this one is that we could give staff direction to explore any possibilities that might be there for seniors in general, including our club. Karen?
So in reading it though, it's not just for the seniors club in our township, but also for the municipality under the recreation committee who are trying to organize stuff for the hall. Like, because there's a component that the club or the recreation committee have discussed with reference to seniors in the community as well. So it's also for the municipality could be applying for assistance for something.
Yes. Well, if we could give staff direction to come back to look into exploring the possibilities and come back with a report. So I guess I'll just ask for staff direction for this. Karen, do you?
Well, if staff could look into it, and also, as you had suggested, to send a notice off to the seniors, so the Montague seniors, so that they're aware as well.
Okay, so I'll go to Jeff next.
Yeah, and even the Karen's idea, like, let's make sure that's on the next recreation agenda too as well, just it's a good discussion point too as well, and I think also for future things that might come up like this too as well, so that we're kind of better prepared and along with our recreation feasibility
Yep.
studies.
Yes. So Klaus?
Yes, I would agree to move this.
Okay, and up to you, Ian. I say up because you're in the top right here.
Yeah, just, the application closes on December 21st, 2020, and the grant's good for funding of up to 60,000. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you have staff direction for that, Jasmine?
Yes.
And as many council members, if not all of us, continue to say that we must continue to look into funding for all the different streams. So that's what that's about. So thanks for this, council. And then we're going to move on. And oh, yeah, now this part, I think this part of my agenda is cut off, Jasmine. So correct me if I'm moving in the wrong direction here, but the next motion that I have was regarding recessing. Is that the next one?
Yes, we have no unfinished or other business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So should we go to questions from the public right now then?
Yeah.
So I'll let you tell us if we have some.
Yep. Just give me 1 second.
Thanks.
I'm just checking Facebook. It takes me a minute.
No problem.
Okay. So we have one question through email. So will you be discussing tonight the newspaper report that Smith Falls wants to revisit the agreement concerning the old Rideau Regional Land Agreement?
So I can answer that if you wish, Jasmine, or you can, but anybody can say anything about this, but as far as I'm concerned, the answer would be no, because it's not on the agenda, and it's first, we have not received an official request in writing. So I think it's really preliminary to be even saying a word about it. That's my answer, but Jasmine or anybody else?
Yeah, if that's okay. I do note that we will be, I'm expecting a piece of correspondence to be on our next agenda from the town of Smith Falls.
Yeah, to me, it's just too important an issue to throw out at the last minute onto an agenda. So Jeff, you had a comment?
I was just going to say, I agree. There's going to be a process for this, and it'll come through. That's my opinion too, as well. And like, we're aware of it. So I think that's the biggest thing from the person from the public. We're well aware of it as council members, and I think we're all starting to digest it and getting into our own thoughts of it too, as well. So.
Okay. So the answer, I guess, then, Jasmine, if you can pass it on, please.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
No more questions. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Then, and moving on, I have a motion moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Kieran Jennings that the council recess at 7:04. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we're going to recess for maybe 2 minutes. so we can change over to our committee of the whole meeting. And then we'll continue in 2 minutes. Okay, Jasmine?
Great. So just a reminder, we will remain live during this period. So mute yourselves.
Okay, thanks. So Ian and Jeff, they're still not with us?
No.
Okay. So I think we have everyone back. Jasmine, are we live?
Yes, we are still live.
Okay, so welcome everyone to our Committee of the Whole meeting, November 17th. And we have a motion, and it was moved by Klaus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight, that the Committee of the Whole agenda dated November the 17th, 2020 be approved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. I'll also remind everyone on council that if you do have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. And we'll go to our very first report of our municipal officers, and that's going to be our treasurer, Andrew Hodge. So, and that's on the COVID-19 funding. So welcome, Andrew, and I'll let you take over. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So this report, it is on COVID-19 related expenses. And this came out of a question from the previous meeting where we were looking at the criteria for the phase 2 of COVID-19 and talk about how the funding we have received is being utilized and what the balance would be of that. So that's what I've provided here. And so the township received $95,900. We received that in October. And this is different than the amount, the new amount we've been discussing for the $100,000 earlier in this meeting tonight. So I provided a chart here, and I've shown the revenues that have fallen short, and I've shown some expenses that are extra due to COVID-19. And with that, we still have an outstanding amount of about $15,000. So in the second chart, I've given a suggestion that we could try to utilize the remaining funds in 2020 because these funds are for 2020 operating and related pressures from COVID-19. So really what we're looking at is just strategically, if we would like to use the balance now or later. If we use it later, then we direct the items in the second chart into the 2021 budgeting. And any of these COVID funds not used will be placed in their own separate reserve for future COVID related expenses, which is what the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing has outlined. So the items in the second chart, they're basically below our capitalization threshold. And it would be something we could look at doing in December. So just looking to kind of get some direction from council on whether they're more looking to do this now or leave these items for the 2021 budget discussion.
Okay, I'll open it up to council. Thanks, Andrew. First, you, Karen.
Yep. So the question, Andrew, on the emergency occurrences expenses, it says 0 was our budget. Our projected year end is 10,744 with a variance of 12,244.
Right. So the variance column, I'm projecting what I think it will be at the end of December. So I believe there will be some more cleaning and masks and supplies and bleach and things like that they will be having coming in versus the middle column is basically the end of October.
Oh, okay.
So hey, let me see there.
Because that's not how I read it.
Yep. So yeah, I actually put that in the wrong column. So the 10,744 is what we actually have spent at the end of October.
Right.
And the 12,244 is what I expect us to have spent at the end of December. So,
Okay.
so the right column still carries through to that number.
For totals, yeah. follow up?
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes,
On the outstanding items, which are the ones that we possibly could use to make up the difference. I agree with the digital meetings equipment. I agree with the laptops. I'm just not sure how you can stretch soundproofing of Rosedale Hall to COVID.
Right. So,
mean-
yeah.
I don't, because I thought I had read, now I may be wrong, because you were mentioning about putting the money aside. I thought we had to use it or else we might not get some additional funding. So I would much rather take what we know we can use for valid COVID versus trying to squeak in the soundproofing.
Right.
And my suggestion is we definitely get it used before the end of this calendar year, so that it shows that we needed the money versus next year, because hopefully there'll be something maybe moving forward still, because there are still losses for us. Like we still have interest losses on our bank accounts and on our investments. So there's still additional funding that, you know, not just us, but other municipalities are going to be looking for.
Right. So I think that was basically the intent, was to say, are we going to be using this right away versus letting it wait?
Yeah, my suggestion is that we definitely use it in the 2020 year.
anyone else? Jasmine?
If council, if it's consensus from council for the soundproofing, we could bring back, if you're okay with the equipment and the laptops, we could just proceed with that and bring back some suggestions for the last hunk of money. If that's council consensus. I know there might be a piece of equipment the fire chief was looking at that is not directly, but could be COVID related. We could bring that back if counts, that's the consensus from council.
Okay, we have a couple more comments first, and that's Jeff, and then to Claus.
I just, the key on Councillor Jennings' point of other money that we're losing interest on, like when you put the penalties, interest and taxes, does that also include our bank accounts and all of that stuff too as well, or it doesn't?
No, so our general bank account, that was where we budgeted $20,000 for interest that we would receive. And we actually are at the end of October at $51,906 in interest. So we haven't had even though interest rates have declined, we're not below budget.
Oh, can I follow up though? What I'm thinking of is it wasn't how much we budgeted. It's actually based off actuals of what we had last year compared to what our actual will be for this year. That's what I was referring to, is the actual amount that we would get, even though we only budget 20, the actual true amount we're going to get will be less than what we actually received last year. That's the money I was thinking of.
Right, and it will be less.
Yes, see, that's where it will be less.
Could we utilize some of the funds for that then?
That's what I would think.
Like I know the soundproofing is cool. Sorry, I think we're speaking a turn here, but I mean, but it's like, is that not? We don't need to do soundproofing when that really could be towards that, could it not?
Yeah, and that's good. And then we could move the soundproofing strictly into the 2021 budget.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to Claus.
Yes, thank you. Andrew, do you have any suggestions, or maybe we should wait for staff to come back with suggestions where the other 15,000 can be used up?
Not specifically. I think the main priority I was looking at was the digital meeting equipment.
Okay.
And the laptops that would facilitate that.
Okay.
Okay, and Karen?
So it's not actually related to this report, but with reference to the Rosedale Hall soundproofing and the previous discussion we had with reference to applying for funding with reference to seniors and stuff, could that possibly, because soundproofing impacts hearing, and you could try and sneak it in through that, not sneak it in, I apologize, put it in through that way as part of a funding that we might look at? There's an option for your rec committee, maybe? That's all.
Okay. Okay, so Jasmine, I'm going to go back to you. you wanted staff direction. Can you reword that staff direction so we all clear? Yes, Jasmine?
So, yeah, sorry, I was still muted. I think that it's definitely arguable the equipment and the laptops are, definitely COVID related. If council wants to direct staff related to that, because we can get that started, it is already, November 17th, so we can get those purchases moving forward. An additional laptop for the clerk administrator position would also assist with the transition of the positions as well, because then we'd have 2 workstations because the old laptop can continue to be utilized. So if you're okay with that, you can direct us to move forward with that and then bring forward information about the last hunk of money. Plus the digitization may not cost that much, so there might be more left over we could use before the end of the year.
Okay, does anyone oppose this staff direction? And any other comments and questions then? Yes, Karen?
But it wasn't part of it as well as to whether we were going to use the money all in 2020 or 2021. I think we're in agreement to utilizing it in 2020.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be good to get consensus on that. Yeah.
So you have consensus there, Jasmine? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, then thank you. And
Thanks,
to
Rich.
council and to Andrew for this. I do have a motion here. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that the committee of the whole receive the COVID-19 related expenses report and that the following be recommended to council, that council direct staff to utilize the COVID-19 funds prior to the end of 2020. No further questions and comments? All in favor? And that is carried. Thanks for this good report, Andrew.
All right, you're welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, then moving on, we have the next one, and that's going to be our Public Works Manager, Stephen Rothwell, and that's going to be on the gravel road maintenance policy. So thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Reeve. Yeah, so it's just my staff directed or council directed staff to develop a policy related to the gravel road maintenance activities that we were completing back in September on the 15th. So I've developed the policy and brought back the report. It's basically designed to lay out the guidelines on the following subjects. So how it's being placed, dust suppressant, maintenance grading, and roadside entrance responsibilities. This is all items that council asked staff to detail. So the first is basically we're going to be using belly dumps to have a consistent layer which is being placed. It ensures that the material is being placed consistently and helps our operation. Then another thing it speaks to is that we currently have the 2 graders, so it includes both graders in our policy. And this is just to ensure that we have the optimal production by using both graders. And then the last point is using the township access to township roads policy, which was developed in 2013. Residents having access to township property or township road are fully responsible for the maintenance of their entry to the property. So this policy speaks to exactly that these residents will be responsible for adding gravel or removing snow, etc., from their laneways. And then that's what the report speaks to. And then the policy is attached, and as well as the access to township roads policy.
And thank you, Stephen. I don't think we've ever seen so many details, and I think that that's good that we're moving forward to get this policy in place. Good work. I'll open this up. Any questions and comments? Ian?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stephen, for putting this together. I think it's a great thing for the township to have, and it really gives some clarification for for staff to handle ongoing issues as we go forward with the residents. So once there's once there's a bylaw or something like that's passed, that the policy's passed, that's supported by council, I think it's a little bit easier to deal with things. I guess my only question is, when we get into the placement of the new granular gravel, and I understand the error that you've indicated that we put on 2 inches as a standard amount. What happens if the residence entrance after we put on the gravel is greater than 2 inches? Say it's 10 inches. What happens then? So are we expecting the resident to go buy a dump truck load of gravel and fix their entrance because we added 10 inches to it?
Yeah, so it would take a number of years to add. Sorry. Yeah, so if we're adding 2 inches every year, you're going to lose that 2 inches over the course of these 4 years. So you shouldn't see a significant grade raise. If there is already a pre-existing grade raise, it's due to, those residents clearly have never added any granular to their driveways, which they should be, right? It's everybody is responsible for adding some gravel to their driveway to make sure, everything ties in effectively. And if we were to go back and try and tie in these driveways, it would be an immense amount of lost time by our staff, and it's just inefficient process if we're trying to include their driveway. So yes, it is assumed in this policy that they would be placing some granular material on their own driveway.
So follow up, Reeve?
Yes.
So this past year, as an example, there was an incident where we applied a bunch of gravel on a road, and the new gravel resulted in a large bump coming out of the resident's driveway, which obviously was there because we added the large amount of gravel, and that's why some of this got brought up. I can understand that if prior to the gravel being added, it was level. So they were, the entrance was usable. And then after we added the gravel, the entrance for a normal car really wasn't. So I want to make sure that at the end of the day, we're not putting residents in a position where, ideally 2 inches or 4 inches or whatever it might be at the end of the day is an ideal number. But in the event that it's higher than that, as a result of work that we've done, not of neglect from the resident, then I don't think it's very fair to the residents or the constituents in the township to have to go around and buy a load of gravel in the event that we put more gravel on and make the driveway unusable.
Okay, thanks. Claus?
Thanks, Reeve. Thanks, Stephen, for the report. Excellent. When you put 2 inches down, does that get compacted after it's applied?
So right now the township doesn't have a roller. So right now it's being compacted by the vehicles on the roadway. That's standard across many municipalities. Nobody really does have a roller to compact it. So it doesn't actually go down much. It's a very minimal amount that it's going down after 2 inches.
I'm just kind of concerned because I did have a question a few years ago of somebody on Boundary Road where they applied some gravel and so forth, and people were driving on it and then taking those corners, and pretty soon most of the gravel was all shot to one side of the road because of the people cornering. And that if we might want to consider, even if we have to have somebody come in and compact, especially on the corners, because 2 inches, when people are traveling at the speeds they do nowadays in corners, it gets moved over to one side pretty quickly.
Yes, in the talks of calcium. So when we're placing the new granular, we're going to have calcium applied there right shortly after, within 24 hours after, which will help compact this material so you don't have any significant loss on corners and everything like that. It binds everything together.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, sorry, were you finished, Claus?
Yes, I was. Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, Karen?
Just a question in reference to the report references 2 graders, because that's what we currently have. If we were to go down a grader, does that mean we would automatically have to be purchasing a second grader?
This policy just speaks to what we currently are using, current operations, which is what we're doing is using 2 graders. So that's why I do have 2 graders included, because that is what is being done right now.
Okay, so it doesn't commit us down the future if we lose one.
I have to
Yeah.
go to Jasmine.
Sorry, Stephen. We did not hear that. At least I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
Jasmine?
Jasmine can help with that one.
So the policy wouldn't commit you to maintaining 2 graders. So if you choose not to purchase another grader to replace the old one, the policy can just be updated.
Okay, anything else on this? Jeff?
Stephen, thank you very much. I think this is quite good. It gives us a really good framework to make sure that we can kind of help sort of direct if there's a problem down the road. You know, it also gives us the ability to say to residents too as well, like we encourage them to obviously keep their driveways, like you say, up to spec. You have to add gravel, everything else. And like the talk about the extra or the, you know, you have your one entrance too as well. So if it's a secondary or third entrance, I mean, that's, you know, we're not looking at that. We're looking at your primary entrance too as well, which I think is important. So I mean, I like the policy because it does bring forth clarity. I mean, it's not going to solve our issues. We're still going to have instances where people are going to be upset because there was gravel put on the road and now there's a lip on the driveway. But I like to think that those are, you know, this gives us clarity to work on it, but also, you know, it gives us the ability, because we know that even on that road that we're using a reference for, the many residents on that road were very, very thankful for having that gravel on the road too as well. And even some that had a lip, they were like, but we're not gonna, we like it because of the, you know, we know the gravel's in the road. So I think this is great. And this is a, you know, if this is the kind of stuff you're going to start out with, then I look forward to working with you in the future.
Okay, anything else? Ian?
I just, again, I really like the report. I just like to have something in there that's a little bit more ways to deal with the situation that we're talking about. And, you know, I don't think that there's any difference or clarification between a primary or secondary entrance. The residents paid to have their culvert put in, they paid to put the gravel down. And, you know, in this particular instance, we put roughly, you know, 8 or 10 inches of brand new gravel at the edge of their driveway, therefore making it unusable. So I don't see how that really falls back to a resident to all of a sudden go and get a whole truckload of gravel to fix their driveway up. I think that during those instances, I think that it should be topped up by the township if there is that big of a lip, and it is determined that you know, the resident has done their due diligence and kept the driveway at the existing level. That's my thought. So I would like to see something added in that respect to it, and then I would definitely support it from that point.
Jasmine?
So I just want to note, apologies, Steve, sorry, that one of the ways we were trying to deal with that item is the use of belly dumps does actually provide a much more consistent application of gravel. So you don't have as many lumps or as many areas where you have a buildup of a little bit more gravel than others. Belly dumps provide for much more consistent application and will avoid situations like that in the future. You can correct me if I am wrong, Stephen. But additionally, like if it's council's desire to amend the policy to add in something like a threshold to offer additional gravel to residents, that's something that council can direct staff to look into.
Claus?
Thank you, Reed. I can sympathize with the situation. I mean, over the years and years and years, these roads get built up. And I'm sure the residents have seen this happening every year. My concern is if we do that, start adding some gravel to private driveways, we're opening up the door for setting a precedence that we could have a long list of driveways that we're adding more gravel to.
I'm not sure that due diligence was performed over the years on this particular driveway. As it certainly is going downwards on decline, which makes it even worse when you're trying to climb up a hill. And I'm not sure that there was gravel put on year after year to upgrade that, as should have happened. And I'm also not sure that this particular driveway that we're even talking about is legitimate. It's been there for years and years, but I'm not sure that it was actually a legitimate entranceway. I have been told that it wasn't, but as I said, I'm not sure of that. But if it wasn't, then that's a different matter. Jasmine?
I just want to note, I mean, I think when you're applying policies like this, we're talking about applying a consistent policy for everybody in the township. So while we might have a recent example, it's better to talk about this not into individual circumstances, but how it would apply to everybody in the future.
Well, I agree that we need to have a consistent policy, but I can tell you one thing, that if we open this up, we're going to have hundreds of people coming back to us, whether it's a half an inch out or 3 inches out or 6 inches out. And it's going to be a nightmare for our public works staff, as far as I'm concerned. Ian, sorry.
Yeah, I agree with the clerk administrator, Ms. Ralph there. I think there should be a threshold that's an actual number that's built into it. Say if any road work that we do creates a lip that's greater than 8 inches, then we could put some gravel there for the person to blend so that they can get in there with the driveway. That's all. That's.
But I have just to follow up on that. In I guess my question would be to Stephen on this, that what we're talking about is we would not be applying 8 inches. And if there is an 8-inch difference, then my opinion would be that it's almost definite that the due diligence was not performed if there's an 8-inch difference. And as we're saying in this policy, that still would be relied on by the landowner to look after the person's own laneway. I just think we're going to open up a complete mess here. I did see Jeff. Oh, sorry, did you want to respond to that, Stephen? And then I'll go to Jeff.
Yeah, just as Jasmine has said, that's why in this policy I'm put in that it's important to use a belly dump, because you can guarantee a consistent 2-inch off the belly dump down the line of the road. Whereas if we are using triaxles with pups, there's a hydro line or something in the road, then we're gonna have to be dumping more. And that's where, as Councillor Straight has said, you might have these raises if you're using that apparatus, but by using the belly dump and enforcing the belly dump, we should never be putting more than the 2-inch down on that road. So that, like Reeve has said, that's how we will get away from putting 8 inches. And if there was ever to be 8 inches, it would be in 24 years down the line if we're an 8-inch grade raise, if we're following our 4-year gravel maintenance plan.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was gonna, just on that point, I mean, like, and we could put down an extra 4 inches, but if they were already 4 inches below on their driveway, and now it's 8, now it's looking like 8 inches. I mean, there could be and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm just saying that could be those are the things that open up in the future too as well. So the other side with going with the belly dump, that's what's in there a little bit. Could that make, when we go to our tendering, not give us the ability to be competitive?
So all the local contractors all have belly dumps. This is a common practice used by all municipalities. And there is some roads in our municipality where we'll be using triaxles, but it shouldn't affect the tendering process much at all.
Thank you.
Anything else? I do have a motion which was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer, that the Committee of the Whole receive the following report. That's the gravel road maintenance policy report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council adopt the gravel road maintenance policy at the next meeting of council. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, and that is carried. Thank you. The next one is also yours, Stephen, and that's on the culvert replacement policy.
Yes, so at the same meeting on September 15th, council directed staff to develop policy related to entrance culverts and with roadway maintenance. So my policy speaks to when these culverts will be replaced. So essentially, the only culverts that will be replaced by the municipality will be during construction activities where our ditching operations, say a realignment of the ditch, will affect positive drainage in the ditch. And the culvert will prevent the positive drainage, and there'll be a change of the inlet elevation. So that's basically what it speaks to, is that, you know, it'll be the discretion of the public works manager which culverts will be removed during construction. And it essentially just states that only culverts that will be replaced are ones that are affected by construction activities related to drainage and or road widening, something to that extent, but all other culverts will be still the responsibility of the homeowners.
Thanks, Stephen. Any questions from council, comments, Claus?
Yeah, thanks for just a question. A new construction, it's the homeowner's responsibility to install a new culvert for new construction?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Ian?
No, yet again, Stephen, thank you very much for the report. It's well done, and I think it'll add a lot of direction for the staff going forward. So it's very well done. Thank you very much.
Seeing no other questions and comments, I do have a motion which was moved by Jeff Carroll, second by Karen Jennings, that the committee of the whole receive the entrance culvert replacement policy report, and that the following be recommended to council: that council adopt the entrance culvert replacement during construction activities policy at the next meeting of council. All in favor? So that is carried. Thank you, Stephen. And on to you, Jasmine, for the next report, and that's the Rosedale septic replacement.
Not muted. Great. Okay. So in September 1st, 2020, council passed a motion to direct staff to proceed with the request for quotations process. So we did release the RFQ, post the on the website and the local newspaper in accordance with our procurement policy. Additionally, we sent the RFQ to a number of local companies that were listed as qualified septic installers. So the RFQ included the following terms to maximize the septic size. So it would be to address the maximum use of the hall, which would be 125 seated guests. So, I mean, it's the most that we could fit. The contractors are required to undergo all of the permitting requirements, and the timeline in the quotation for the installation was between May and July 2021. That's so we can address the septic in the 2021 budget, as well as because we are nearing the end of the construction season and we are reasonably confident Rosedale Hall will be mostly empty through the winter months. It's important that septics have active solids in them, especially when they're newly installed. So the expectation was the installation in the spring will definitely get more use out of it before the winter and potentially not lose that bacteria activity in there. So we received 4 quotes. The low quote was from the Arnott Brothers for $46,100 with a total cost, including the municipal portion of HST, of $46,911.36. So staff do recommend that we proceed with the provision of the Rosedale Hall installation in May 2021.
Jeff, and then Claus.
This is great. I mean, it's it's good to have the numbers in front of us too as well. I kind of propose that we defer this until we get what the roof's going to cost and see if we can combine them into that that one big grant if it makes it worthwhile. I don't think us deferring this by a couple of weeks is gonna change anything at all or slow down the process, because we're not gonna do it till next year anyways. And kind of the key on Councillor Jennings' point from before, making sure we're not too far in the process of the job to make sure that we can maybe the funding for this.
Okay, we'll come back to that, Jeff. Claus next.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Jasmine, just a question of curiosity. Is there enough room to put this new septic system in there on the present location where the old one is right now?
Yes.
Have they sized this up properly to
Yes.
have? Okay. Secondly, if they quoted 46,911, is that a firm quote that we're not going to find out come when they're done? Said, oh, by the way, it's going to be more because of this and other thing. Are they willing to stick to that amount?
Well, I mean, the RFQ process it's a binding process. There are some assumptions that are used when you quote. We dug a few test holes to provide some background as to what the soil is in the area. But yes, you'd have to assume that that's what the cost of the project will be.
And no overruns, I hope. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I just
Anything-
want to, if it's okay,
Yes.
to address the deferment. If council is in general okay with the project moving forward, it's just a suggestion. You could move the project itself forward and then consider different funding options because you have time to do that. If the question is, if you're questioning whether or not to do the project, depending on the funding, then I would suggest deferring it. I guess that would be my recommendation, because you have quite a bit of time in between now and May to find the funding. It's just a suggestion.
I think the consensus of council was all ready to move forward when we did the RFQ.
Well, the consensus was to get the quotations. That was the consensus.
Yeah. Okay. Karen.
On the RFQ, Jasmine, because the work's not starting till next year, that was clear. So I'm just thinking about current costs to projected next year costs.
It was very clear when the start date was expected. Yes.
Okay.
So do you need a motion or just consensus to defer this?
If council would like to defer it, then it would be consensus.
Okay, Jeff, and then to Karen.
I guess the biggest thing, I mean, and that's, I'm just kind of going, I don't want us to like this to get messed up in this current one that we're looking at. So like if we approve this, Jazz, does it make a difference as far as like, could that make it ineligible for us getting this portion on that grant or not?
I can't see how it would.
Okay, if it does.
Technically, the decision doesn't get finished until the next meeting. So in the interim, I can take a look and, we can always modify the motion that gets passed at council, adopting the activities of the committee of the whole. But just because you've done an RFQ and, provided verbal confirmation that you're moving forward, typically it's, you can't spend $1 and you haven't in this case.
Yeah. Karen, is that
Agree.
okay?
Yep, that's
Okay.
exactly.
So then I'll just see if council has consent, if we get consensus to just defer this for now then, is that the way?
No, like
No.
put it forward and then, yeah.
Or move forward, but,
Move forward, yeah.
But we'll work with the funding.
okay, Jeff?
Do you think, Jazz, we could get pricing for the roof by next meeting?
I can probably get very non-committal cost estimates.
Which is fine. I mean, non-committal is still going to be probably within like 5 or 10 at the most thousand, I would say. So, I mean, like it just gives us a general idea, right? Like it's I mean, these are tight timeframes they're giving us for the grant application too as well, right? So.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else then?
So I guess the question is, I guess we based on the discussion, we've had consensus, but do we want to, can council provide formal consensus to staff we'll bring back funding options?
Yes.
Okay, so Claus, yes. Karen,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yeah.
Ian.
Yep.
So you have consensus, Jasmine?
Great.
Okay, and I do have a motion here. It was moved by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight that the committee of the whole receive the Rosedale Hall septic replacement quotations report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council authorize the provision of the Rosedale Hall septic installation from the Arnott Brothers for a total of $46,911.36. Before I ask for the vote, anything else on this? All in favor then? Opposed? I see none. So that is carried. Thank you, Jasmine, for that one. The next one is also yours, Jasmine, on the personnel policy.
Great. So council, we've looked at this personnel policy a couple times before. There was direction at the last meeting to bring back some changes to the additional clarity for item 3A for regulated leaves in terms of the ESA rather than regular leaves. Part-time vacation to follow the ESA. An increase in the sick leave allotment, but with no carry forward. And then the item of the reviewing the filling of a temporary vacancy section to add additional levels of compensation to provide some flexibility. And then staff were provided direction to bring back information for the cost of benefits related to other municipalities. So staff is bringing back that benefits report at the next meeting. We can move forward with the personnel policy without that information because it's not necessarily contingent on that. I've presented an amenable a concept to item 23C. So if council is amenable to that concept, what we can do is approve the policy changes, and then we can bring forward the proposed grids as it references. So just like the in-between levels of compensation that we're referencing in that case.
Any questions? Karen?
So I had a conversation with Jasmine today. When it starts off at the start, it makes reference to the fact that the policy is only for full-time. It says part-time or casual employees shall be governed by provincial legislation, which is fine for part of the policy, but there are other sections that do specifically reference the part-time and casual, as in like the vacation pay is a percentage versus the number of days that the full-time get. Under the probationary policy, there's a component A, it says that probations are a period of not more than 6 months for data hire of entering the position. And I was putting a suggestion out that if support staff are at a 6 month, that management should probably be at a 1 year probation period. Point number 2 or 2B was during the probation, the employee is entitled to all mandatory benefits. Thought there should be a little bit of wiggle room there, saying that goes with the level of the position versus it being mandatory or being automatic when people are hired. The next one was under compensation, which is, it's on my phone, sorry, number 8. It makes reference to the consumer price index, and we've put in October to October. So what I was questioning is if we need to specify a specific month, because depending on when we're doing our budget could impact what that amount is. So I just wondered if it should just state that, say, for example, it'll be the previous month of where we're doing our budgets, because if we happen to get on top of them and we're doing them earlier in the year, it could be an impact that way. Number D was at the time of hiring, it says the initial step placement within a salary range will be at the beginning or at the end. There is a little bit of clarity there, because I don't believe anybody, including like that it would never be right at the end, but there is the flexibility for the clerk administrator to place them within based off of the seniority or the experience that the person is bringing to us. But you
Yeah.
always have to have flexibility in order to have that probation period to determine, you know, how they are performing for us. And then under
So I
annual
just wanted to
performance
note
in,
that the item
Sorry.
D was an error. That wasn't the intent of that wording.
no, I know that's where, yeah. So it was to give you that flexibility to place them somewhere other than just at the first. That was the intent of it.
Yeah.
Yes. The annual performance increase, for clarification, it's anybody that gets hired after July 1st, they wouldn't get their step increase until their anniversary date, but they definitely get the cost of living because our grid's pay rates change as of January. Item I was, and it just in reference to step increases, and that's at their call. Under the next one, I have to do it screen by screen, sorry. Just clarification in that the wording for performance reviews, it says the department head in collaboration with the employee prepares a mutually agreed upon performance evaluation. So I said to Jasmine, yes, definitely you do a collaboration with the employee, but it doesn't always end up as a mutual agreement because sometimes employees still don't have the agreement to what is being recorded. Then under the vacations, that's where it was showing the leave days are for your full-time and the pay for percentages was definitely for the part-time. The next one is, the suggestion I have is that they carry forward a maximum amount of vacation. Whether it be like, for example, the max amount of vacation that's carried forward by staff is 10 days. And then the next paragraph does state that vacation earned, not carried forward or used will be paid out. But I said we try to ensure that staff are using their vacation so that we're not having large payouts or carry forwards. The next one was the newly recruited employee with significant experience that they might not necessarily get the maximum for their new recruitment, but again, it gives the clerk administrator the ability to have flexibility to, same as placing them on the pay grid, they then get to negotiate that as well. But again, next one was just with compassionate leave, a few clarifications on the wording for there. Also for documentation of some sort to say that the last two paragraphs, additional unpaid leave may be granted at the discretion of the department head and or council. And in addition, a full-time may be granted days of special leave for the purpose of travel if necessary. Again, that has to be clearly defined for the clerk administrator to consistently apply the policy, because if it's just a call without justification, it does put you into a situation where it can be challenged. Also under the sick leave where it said a full-time employee absent from work for 3 days or less may be required to provide. There'll be notes in the clerk administrator's file on how to make that consistent. The suggestion I had on the next point was when a full-time employee is absent from work for more than a half day, but less than a full day, a half day deduction would be made. Since it's 10 days, 10 days represents so many hours. I said, whatever the employee is sick, you just record that many hours versus trying to figure out, is it a half day or whatever? It's easier if you just follow through by hours. The next one has to do under where it deals with suspension or termination of benefits for employees. It says a person who is laid off or terminated shall cease to qualify for the above benefits at the end of the calendar month in which the person is laid off or terminated. Benefits actually stop the date of suspension or termination, because you wouldn't want somebody being terminated, say, for example, on the 3rd of a month, but being eligible to continue to have their benefits till the end of the month, because that becomes an employer cost. And then the last one Well, I think it has to do with the temporary filling of a vacancy where it still references the 5 working days. When we had the discussion before, it was in reference to, but managers can take vacation for 10 days. So you wouldn't be paying somebody an acting pay for just 5 additional days versus the 5 that it's noted in the policy. So some wording to accurately reflect when you know there's going to be a long-term absence, that they then in turn would have the ability to get the acting pay. That's all.
So I guess I have a question for you, Jasmine.
Yes.
You've obviously brought this report forward to us in the public prior to today, but as you were saying, Karen, you had this discussion today with Jasmine.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering if we should maybe defer this until you have a chance to digest all of this, and it maybe comes back to us so that everybody can look at it, because otherwise we have to take one issue at a time until we work through each one of these. But I'll let you respond, Jasmine, at what you think is the most efficient way, because I just don't want us to vote carte blanche on everything right now without even having had a discussion or thought about it before. So Jasmine, I'll go to you first.
Sure. I think a lot of the suggestions from Councillor Jennings are, I think, very good. I don't know if housekeeping is the right word, but I think sharpening suggestions. There's a couple items that would, I think, represent a change to the package that we offer, which would be, I think, the carry forward of vacation, but it's not an uncommon practice. As council wants to direct staff to look into the items that Councillor Jennings has brought up, I think that would be reasonable if that's what council would like to provide.
That's kind of where I was going. So in other words, we're not making a 100% decision on all of this right now.
Yes, so you could look into it and provide draft wording for it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was coming from.
Sure.
But so I know I saw your hand up, Claus. So you can respond there, and then we'll see if we can get consensus for this. Claus.
Thank you. I think we should give Jasmine the opportunity to make any adjustments that were suggested, because there's a lot of them, and like, I'm confused, I'm lost. Sorry. I think we can't pass this tonight. There's too many suggestions for alterations, and I know Jasmine kind of called fine tuning, but I suspect there's a lot of items there that need to be adjusted for whatever reason. I don't know.
Okay, so then we're just going to get a consensus for that. Claus, I've got you. Ian, is that Ian?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and Jeff?
Yeah.
And Karen?
Yep.
Okay, so you've got consensus on that, Jasmine, and thank you, Karen. I don't have any problems with with cleaning things up, clarifying things. Some of it's housekeeping, some of it's very minor, but we just want to make sure that we do this the right way. So I appreciate that. So thank you for that. All those suggestions, Karen, and then Jasmine, for your work until the next meeting.
So then the disposition on that motion in front of you, I think, would be deferred.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll do we still vote on this?
Yeah, just call for a motion, not a motion, but call
Okay,
for.
I won't read that motion was moved by Karen Jennings, and it's seconded by Jeff Carroll. And so I guess the new motion then would be that we would defer this. And I'll ask, all in favor? Okay, then it's deferred. Thank you. Then moving on, we have no reports of committees, petitions, motions, notices of motions, no unfinished business and other business. And before we adjourn our committee meeting, Jasmine, do we have any questions
We
From
do.
council?
Yep.
from the public?
Yes, we do. We do have a question related to, so could some of the COVID money be used to put in internet at Rosedale Hall so future meetings may be held at Rosedale Hall? So I think generally, yes. I think the issue with unless council wants to answer this question, I think the issue with the internet at Rosedale Hall is that it's an ongoing cost.
Yeah.
Not just a one-time cost.
Okay, Claus?
Yeah, I agree with Jasmine that we went through this before already, and we recognized that it was going to be a monthly cost that's just going to build all the time. It's too expensive.
Okay. No other comments then? So you can answer the question to the person, Jasmine, please?
We did it just now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another question.
Yes,
So why does council, sorry, I pressed the button. Why does council not want the septic work done at Rosedale Hall before May of 2021? So I did touch on that in my report. You don't want a brand new empty septic tank sitting over a winter. You lose that bacteria activity, and it's much easier in terms of getting competitive quotations. You're going to get a lot more competitive quotations if you have the timeline that's farther out. It's easier for them to schedule projects like that.
thank you. Further questions?
That's it.
Okay, then, thank you then. I think that's it for the committee meeting, and we have a motion. It was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Claus Vandermeer, that the committee of the whole meeting do now adjourn at 8:06. All in favor? That is carried. So we are now adjourned, and I don't think we need a break.
Nope.
So pardon me?
Just need-
I need a break. I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
I need a break.
Oh, okay, no problem.
That's okay. We
I'm
understand.
sorry, Jasmine.
Thank you. I will be 2 minutes.
Okay, so we'll just go off, and if everybody wants to just mute yourself there for 2 minutes. Okay, thanks. Jasmine, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah,
I hear you, Bill, but I just see your tablet or something.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong here.
I think you turned your camera around.
I did go to switch gallery view.
I think you actually turned your camera around.
What do I do now?
Turn it around.
Turn it back.
No, I didn't turn anything.
No, so there's a little icon that looks like a camera with a circle with arrows in it.
Yes.
So click on that. There you go.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm not seeing it on the screen though.
But we can see you.
I know I can't see anything else though. I need to see all of you.
You can't see any of us?
I can see you, Claus, now, but I don't see the whole gallery.
Yeah, so you'll have to just find the gallery view.
Up in the corner, the left corner, it says switch to.
Yeah, I had pushed that. There. Okay. Cool. Thanks for everybody's help there. Okay, I think everybody's back. So we have a motion here. It was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Karen Jennings that council reconvene at 8:12 p.m. All in favor? Okay, that is carried. Thank you. Next, I have a motion moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer that this council moves in camera at 8:13 as per S 239 of the Municipal Act S 0/2001 C25 in order to address personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically, clerk administrator maternity leave hiring, and that the clerk administrator be permitted to remain in the session. All in favor?